Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat, and here I am with Toonami news. And you can tell what it is based on this picture here, but first thing I want to give a shout out to say happy birthday to Toonami. Today it debuted this day in history, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th in 1997, so it turns 24 years old today. I wanted to take that little moment to point that out. And however, now on to the actual news this week, and that news is the fact that the Promised Neverland Season 2 has been announced for Toonami. Some people have been speculating, including me, about what the slot on April 10th is going to be because SSS's Gridman finally ends and something's going to take its place. And fortunately, it is something that a lot of people have been looking forward to, including especially myself, and that is The Promised Neverland Season 2. Now, the announcement from Toonami on Boomer Book was let the monsters creep back in. Toonami is proud to announce the Season 2 return of The Promised Neverland premiering April 10th at 1:30 a.m. And then they gave the lineup for that date, which starts with Dragon Ball Super at midnight, Attack on Titan at 12:30, Food Wars at 1, Promised Neverland at 1:30, Fire Force at 2, Black Clover at 2:30, Naruto Shippuden at 3 o'clock, and Demon Slayer at 3:30 a.m. And I'm not really surprised with its placement here at 1:30 in the morning. I ideally would like it to have that sweet 1 a.m. slot right after Attack on Titan, which is only going to have for a lead in for like 3, 4 weeks after that. It's not going to have it for long. And The Promised Neverland, if I recall correctly, is supposed to be season 2 is supposed to be 11 episodes. And more on my concerns about that in a moment. I just want to point out some more things about the schedule. Like I said, SSS's Gridman is gone, and what we get is Promised Neverland coming into the 1:30 slot, shifting Fire Force and Black Clover back 30 minutes. So effectively, Black Clover is now in the slot of death, that 2:30 slot, because it's too late for many premieres to air for people to really want to watch the premieres, but also too early to get that little boost from streaming, not streaming, that boost from DVR recordings from the next day. So that's kind of a hell slot. And again, it's what I lovingly call the Hunter x Hunter treatment, considering how that show really got screwed over time, where some of the biggest moments, especially the Chimera Ant arc, ended up airing like at 2:30 in the morning. That's back when Tanami's schedule was like earlier in the night too, where it started like 10 p.m. That wasn't that long ago. That was like 2 years ago. Tanami was at 10 p.m. Part of that whole 7-hour challenge era of Tanami, where it had some of its worst ratings. Worst ratings outside of like now, but I digress. Now on to the Promised Neverland. You probably have heard that there are some concerns with season two, and I have not watched it myself. I'm aware of the manga. I've read the manga actually, and I'm a bit concerned too because I actually really, really like where the manga goes. And I have been told that they try to finish the rest of the series in this season. And I've been told they attempt to cover 88 chapters of material in about 11 episodes. Now, if you're unaware of like how manga gets adapted to anime in terms of pacing, the typical rule of thumb is barring special occasions, it's about 2 chapters per episode. That's usually how it's run, and that usually gives a nice normal pace. However, one thing that comes to mind is a very infamous Toonami related example of horrible manga adaptations being the second season of Tokyo Ghoul, which I think was called like Route A or something. I forgot the exact naming of it. And a lot of people said that the biggest reason why it was so bad, the anime adaptation, was the fact that they basically forced so much material in such a short period of time where you would miss crucial details, or you wouldn't understand why this character now has this motivation. That would seem all over the place. And I believe someone said that it was on average about like 9 to 10 chapters per episode they tried fitting in. And at the pace of 88 chapters and around 11 episodes, that's about 8 chapters per episode here. And I have been told that the pacing can be extremely wonky in this. And I've been told that specifically well, if I can say the name of the arc, that's not really a spoiler. The Goldie Pond arc gets skipped completely or barely even touched on, which is kind of concerning. And I have been told that a very certain development, which I thought that if they were doing normal pacing, like 2 chapters an episode, a normal event that probably would have been how they ended the second season gets thrown in like one of the first few episodes. It's just, oh boy. I've That's the one thing I've been spoiled in, and I'm not going to say it here because this is a show that's really reliant on you not being spoiled about what happens. And yeah, I mean, I digress. And I did not know that at the time when I first, because I was calling for this to be on Toonami before the season aired in Japan, but Aniplex does have this tendency to be very late starting to dub things. And yeah, with Toonami, if Toonami here, The Promised Neverland, you're gonna get this. And like I said, when the first reaction to a show, if you mention a show, and I mentioned this online earlier, asked somebody, it's like, hey, what's your opinions on Promised Neverland season 2? People who've watched the sub, and I didn't get a single positive response. I'm a bit worried, honestly, especially considering how I literally went out and said at the time, The Promised Neverland was the anime of 2019 ahead of Demon Slayer. You know, and when I did my when I did my rankings of like top the 5 moments in Toonami in 2019, The Promised Neverland was by a good margin number 1. I thought it was an amazing anime. I gave it like a 9.5 out of 10 overall. Like, why not a 10? Well, 10 is absolute perfection, and there's always going to be some issues. Like, even with the most amazing anime, like, I could point to something I absolutely love, like Fooly Cooly, and I could pick out a few things that are reasonable criticisms of it. But I digress. I'm a little worried about that. Again, I guess I get my monkey's paw wish here with The Promised Neverland coming to the block finally on April 10th at 1:30 in the morning. Like I said, it will be replacing SSSS Gridman, which inevitably has to have, like, I know The Promised Neverland season 1 really wasn't that, never really did well in ratings when it was on Toonami. Uh, but at the same time, it's got to do better than the comically bad numbers SSS Gridman's had at this point. And yeah, I'm interested to see where things go from here. But what do you guys think? What's your opinions on this announcement? The return of The Promised Neverland, this time season 2, dubbed on the block, Toonami, 1:30 a.m., April 10th. If you like this content, if you want more wacky Toonami news content like this, I appreciate your input. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. I am the Super Orange Cat, and that is all.